Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this explosive edition of Celebrity Showdowns, where the lines between music icons blur into a battlefield of words and emotions. Today, we're diving deep into the heart-stopping moment when country powerhouse Jason Aldean stormed off the set of The Kelly Clarkson Show following a clash that has the entire entertainment world buzzing like a hive of angry bees. Picture this: it's a bright, bustling studio in Los Angeles, the kind where dreams are packaged with applause and ad breaks, and on this fateful day in late summer 2025, two titans of the music industry, Jason Aldean, the gravel-voiced troubadour of small-town anthems and resilient ballads, and Kelly Clarkson, the powerhouse diva-turned-daytime talk show queen with a voice that could shatter glass and a wit sharper than a switchblade, were set to share the stage. Aldean, fresh off his latest album drop that climbed charts like ivy on a Georgia farmhouse, was there to promote his new single, a raw, unfiltered track about standing tall against the storms of life, inspired by personal trials and the relentless scrutiny of fame. Clarkson, ever the gracious host with a knack for drawing out the soul-stirring stories from her guests, had prepared what she thought would be a heartfelt segment blending music and memoir. But as the cameras rolled and the audience settled into their seats, oblivious to the thundercloud gathering overhead, no one could have predicted that this would devolve into one of the most talked-about walkouts in talk show history. The tension simmered from the get-go, subtle at first, like the faint rumble before a tornado touches down. Aldean, dressed in his signature jeans and button-down, exuding that easy southern charm that has won him millions of fans, stepped onto the set with a guitar slung over his shoulder, ready to strum a few chords and chat about his journey from Georgia dirt roads to Nashville neon lights. Clarkson, radiant in a flowing emerald dress that caught the studio lights like an emerald in sunlight, greeted him with her trademark megawatt smile and a hug that lingered just a beat too long, perhaps sensing the undercurrents already swirling. As the band kicked in with a soft intro to his hit dirt road anthem, the crowd cheered, phones raised high to capture the magic. But magic, as we all know, has a way of twisting into mayhem when truths collide. The interview kicked off smoothly enough, with Clarkson praising Aldean's resilience, her eyes twinkling as she recalled his post-Las Vegas shooting anthem "Try That in a Small Town," a song that had polarized the nation like a lit match in a powder keg. "Jason, you've got this fire in your belly," she said, leaning forward with genuine admiration, "a fire that doesn't just burn, it forges something unbreakable." Aldean nodded, his smile tight but polite, sharing anecdotes about late-night writing sessions fueled by black coffee and childhood memories of bonfires and fireflies. The audience lapped it up, laughing at his tales of mischievous youth and gasping at the vulnerability he injected into stories of loss and love. Yet, beneath the surface polish, there was a crack, a fault line waiting to split wide open. It started innocently, or so it seemed, when Clarkson pivoted to the elephant in the room, the controversies that had dogged Aldean like a shadow at high noon. As the spotlight swiveled between the two stars, the conversation veered sharply into treacherous waters, where personal convictions collided with public personas in a spectacle that left jaws on the floor and social media ablaze. Kelly Clarkson, drawing from her own battles with industry pressures and her evolution into a champion of authenticity, leaned in closer, her voice dropping to that intimate timbre she reserves for the rawest revelations. "Jason, I get it, the world's quick to judge, but let's talk about what small town really means to you. Is it about protection, or is there a line where pride tips into something exclusionary?" Her words hung in the air like smoke from a just extinguished fire, innocent on the surface but loaded with the weight of cultural critiques that had haunted Aldean since the song's release. The studio, moments ago alive with the hum of anticipation, fell into a stunned silence broken only by the faint whir of cameras and the collective intake of breath from the audience. Aldean's face, tanned and weathered from years under stadium lights, flushed a deep crimson, his jaw clenching as if biting back a retort forged in the heat of 1,000 sold-out shows. He set his guitar aside with deliberate care, the soft thunk echoing like a gavel in a courtroom of public opinion. "Kelly, with all due respect," he began, his Georgia accent thickening like molasses in winter, "you can't sit there in your ivory tower and tell me what my life looks like. I wrote that song for the people who look like me, who fight every day to keep their communities safe. Not to build walls but to hold what's ours together. His words tumbled out, passionate and unfiltered, carrying the echo of barroom debates and back porch philosophies that define his fan base. Clarkson, undeterred and perhaps fueled by her own history of speaking truth to power, from her American Idol crown to her messy divorce headline, as encountered with a fire of her own, her eyes locking onto his with the intensity of a duel at dawn. I'm not judging your life, Jason, I'm asking about the message. We've all got scars from the media machine. But when lyrics paint a picture that feels like it's pointing fingers, doesn't that just fan the flames instead of healing wounds? The exchange escalated, voices rising in pitch and volume, each syllable a spark igniting dry tinder. The audience, a microcosm of America itself, and moms in sundresses, dads in polos, young influencers with manicured nails, shifted uncomfortably, some nodding in solidarity with Aldean's defense of heartland values, others whispering approvals of Clarkson's call for nuance in a polarized age. Backstage whispers later revealed that producers had signaled for a commercial break, but in the heat of the moment, the hosts ignored the cues, locked in a verbal tango that twisted from respectful discourse to outright confrontation. Aldean, known for his stoic stage presence honed through tragedies like the Route 91 Harvest Festival horror, began gesturing emphatically, his hands slicing the air as he recounted the personal toll of cancel culture's scythe. The tipping point arrived not with a bang but with a barrage of barbs that stripped away the veneer of celebrity civility, revealing the raw nerves beneath. Jason Aldean, his patience fraying like an old guitar string under too much tension, leaned forward, his voice dropping to a gravelly whisper that carried across the studio like a warning shot. You want to talk evolution, Kelly? I've evolved from a kid scraping by in Macon to a man who's seen real blood on the dance floor. That song isn't hate, it's heart. And if you can't see that, maybe this ain't the place for it. The words landed like a sucker punch, the audience gasping collectively as Clarkson's expression shifted from conciliatory to combative, her cheeks flushing under the relentless glare of the lights. She straightened, her powerhouse frame commanding the space, and fired back without missing a beat. Heart without accountability is just noise. Jason, I've sung about pain too because of you, stranger, but I don't hide behind it when it hurts folks who don't look like my version of home. The invocation of her own catalog, those anthems of empowerment that had catapulted her from reality TV to radio royalty, felt like a gauntlet thrown, challenging Aldean to match her vulnerability with his own. He recoiled visibly, his eyes narrowing as years of pent-up defenses surged forth in a torrent. Accountability? I've owned every damn thing life's thrown at me, the shooting, the critics, the boycotts. But you're safe up here, judging from your cozy couch while the rest of us bleed for our truth. The studio erupted in a cacophony of murmurs and scattered applause, factions forming in real time as the crowd polarized along invisible lines of loyalty. Producers offstage waved frantically, mouthing cut to break. But the hosts, lost in their labyrinth of grievances, barreled on, oblivious to the chaos encroaching. Clarkson's band, the Kelly Clarkson Show, players known for their seamless transitions, exchanged uneasy glances, fingers hovering over instruments in aborted attempts to intervene with melody. Outside the bubble of the set, staffers monitored feeds, hearts pounding as viral clips began seeding across platforms, a TikTok teens lip-syncing the zingers, Twitter threads dissecting every inflection. Aldean, rising now from his seat in a slow, deliberate motion that screamed finality, pointed a finger, not in accusation but in exhaustion. This was supposed to be about the music, not a gotcha game. If that's how it is, I'm out. Clarkson's eyes widened, a flicker of regret crossing her features, but pride held her tongue, her retort forming too late. Jason, we're better than this. But he was already turning, his boots thudding against the polished floor like drumbeats in a dirge, the guitar left forgotten on the couch like a discarded lover. The audience, frozen in disbelief, watched as he strode toward the wings, his broad shoulders squared against the weight of the moment. Whispers turned to shouts. Jason, come back. From one side, tell it like it is. From another, creating a din that drowned out the host's pleas. Clarkson stood halfway, microphone in hand, her voice cracking over the speakers. Folks, that's That's the passion we all bring, let's take a breath. But the breath came too late. The storm had broken, and in its wake, the set felt hollow. The lights too bright, the applause machine silent. Backstage, Aldean paused just out of sight, chest heaving, as a production assistant thrust a water bottle into his hand, murmuring apologies that fell on deaf ears. He waved her off, pulling out his phone to text his team, "Get me out of here." Meanwhile, Clarkson sank back into her chair, rubbing her forehead, the weight of unintended fallout settling like dust after a detonation. The commercial break hit like a mercy rule, screens flickering to ads for toothpaste and car insurance. But the internet had no such pause. Clips exploded, memes proliferated, and the narrative spun wild. Was it a publicity stunt, a genuine meltdown, or the inevitable clash of two artists whose truths no longer aligned? As the show resumed post-break with a pre-recorded performance, the elephant remained, trumpeting loudly in every empty seat. This wasn't just a walk-off, it was a watershed, a moment where entertainment's facade cracked to reveal the fractures in our collective soul. In the blistering aftermath, as confetti from the near miss settled and the studio lights dimmed for the final bow, the ripples of this onstage implosion cascaded outward, flooding every corner of the digital domain with a deluge of discourse that showed no signs of abating. Social media, that voracious beast ever hungry for drama, feasted first. Within minutes of Aldean's exit, #Kelly vs. Jason trended globally, amassing over 5 million impressions before the East Coast woke to the headlines. Fans of the country crooner rallied like troops at a revival, flooding comment sections with testimonials of how Try That in a Small Town had soundtracked their commutes and campfires, a balm for blue-collar blues in a world gone woke. Kelly crossed the lineage. Jason's speaking for us forgotten folks, tweeted one devotee, her post retweeted by thousands, including a smattering of fellow artists from the twangy side of the tracks. Conversely, Clarkson's loyal legion, those who adored her for belting empowerment anthems and bearing her divorce scars on national TV, decried the walkout as petulance wrapped in privilege. Accountability isn't an attack, it's adulting. Kelly was real. Jason ran, posted a fan account with 1 million followers, sparking threads that dissected every frame of the footage, now looping on YouTube like a bad dream on repeat. Late-night hosts, sensing blood in the water, prepped monologues that would lampoon the spat with surgical satire. Jimmy Fallon mimicking Aldean's stomp with exaggerated boots cuffs, while Seth Meyers pondered if the real casualty was daytime decorum. Print and pixel pundits piled on, from Rolling Stone's measured op-ed on the perils of politicized pop to Fox News framing it as another assault on conservative creatives. Aldean, holed up in his tour bus en route to a gig in Tulsa, watched the frenzy unfold through a cracked phone screen, his manager fielding calls from publicists plotting damage control. "It's blown up bigger than we thought," she said, scrolling feeds where supporters shared bootleg videos of his Vegas tribute performances, reminders of the heroism that had once united a grieving nation. He nodded grimly, sipping whiskey neat, reflecting on how one interview had unearthed wounds he thought scarred over the relentless trolling post-shooting, the venue cancellations that cost him dearly. Meanwhile, across town in her sun-drenched home studio, Clarkson replayed the tape with her writers, her laughter bitter as she noted the irony. A show built on feel-good vibes felled by feel everything else. "I pushed too hard," she admitted to her inner circle, but her core team pushed back, praising the authenticity that had boosted ratings 20% in the demo. Fan mail poured in for her too, letters from LGBTQ+ viewers thanking her for challenging exclusionary echoes, and single moms echoing her call for growth over grudge. The music world, ever a family of feuds and forgiveness, split down genre lines. Nashville insiders whispered of boycotts against Clarkson's show, while pop envoys like Ariana Grande subtweeted support for Kelly's candor. By evening, parody sketches hit SNL's digital shorts, with guest hosts donning cowboy hats to croon rewritten lyrics about walking off stages instead of small towns. Brands tiptoe the tightrope, Aldean's beer sponsor doubling down with a rugged dad nod, while Clarkson's wellness line spun the drama into empowerment seminars. As night fell over Hollywood, the echo chamber amplified. Podcasts dissected the dialogue for dog whistles, therapists blogged on celebrity trigger points, and astrologers blamed Mercury retrograde for the mess. Yet amid the melee, glimmers of grace emerge. Jason Aldean posting a cryptic Instagram story of his kids at a pumpkin patch, captioned "Roots Run Deep," and Clarkson dedicating her next monologue to the art of disagreement without division. The walk-off, once a whisper in a studio corner, had roared into a cultural conversation, forcing fans to confront their own biases in the mirror of these flawed icons. It wasn't just entertainment, it was a referendum on reconciliation in a fractured era, where storms off stages mirror the tempests in our streets. And as the dust settled into dawn, one truth lingered: in the clash of voices, the loudest silence is the one left unsaid.